Let's talk to God. One more thing, like, subscribe, and share. Come on, let's talk to God. Woo!
Hey, good evening, everybody. It's Cutler here in the Let's Talk to Cutler broadcast, the Let's Talk to Cutler virtual book club, the Let's Talk to Cutler vlog, or whatever we're calling it these days. And I'm so glad to be here. I'm thankful for another Tuesday. The week has begun and the week is already moving along, and I'm just glad to be a part of what's moving along. Thank you all so much. Those of you who have been with me for the long haul, I just want you all to know that I appreciate you so much. I thank you for sticking it out with me, for supporting me, for encouraging me, for all of that stuff. And I want to encourage you, if you're just stopping by my channel for the first time, this channel is about motivation. It's about inspiration. It's about checking ourselves to make sure that we show up a little bit better tomorrow than we did today. It's about challenging ourselves to make sure that we show up better today than we did yesterday. It doesn't mean that today, any day has been a failure or a flop. It simply means that we're taking the time to see what can we do to improve ourselves? What can we do to make ourselves better? What can we do to find ourselves in a place of victory, in a place of success, in a place of self-actualization? It's all of those things. So if this is your first time stopping by, do me a favor, you all. Just go and hit your brakes and just come on in, pull on over for about 1,800 seconds, and do me a favor. Go ahead and subscribe if you haven't. I invite you, I encourage you to please go ahead and subscribe. And after you subscribe, click on the notification bell. It'll let you know whenever I've gone live, whenever I'm uploading new content. And then after you do that, come on into the chat room. Start talking with me whenever you see me on these Tuesdays and Thursdays for these 1,800 seconds. Come on in the chat room. Chat with me. I'd love to see you. I'd love to hear from you. All of those sorts of things. And then when you come into the chat room, do me a favor. Do a thumbs up on the conversation, because it lets YouTube know that you like what that guy's talking about over there. But it also says to me that you are encouraged by the conversations of the evening. I want to shout out and do a special thank you to the LTTC VIPs. If this is your first time and you're wondering what is an LTTC VIP, the LTTC VIPs tend to be the people who jump into the chat room first, and they just sometimes jump in the chat room ahead of me. So I'd like to acknowledge them, just sort of make it a friendly competition and see who's going to hop in the chat room before anybody else. And so I like to acknowledge them. I like to take just a few moments and make it a friendly competition and acknowledge them. So let's see who jumped into the chat room first this evening. It looks like, from my end, it looks like jumping into the chat room first, there's Annie Cutler, who says, get aboard, let's ride. Because what we're doing, we're on our way to this place that's called Better. And as we're on our way to this place that's called Better, I encourage you to know this. Better doesn't start 5 years from now. It doesn't start 10 years from now. It doesn't have to start 2 weeks from now. But better happens the moment when you think that better is possible. I need to always remind us of this, you all, because somehow we think that better is such a lofty goal. It is this ethereal place. It is this fictitious place that's hard for us to reach and hard for us to attain. But I want you all to know that better starts as soon as you get it in your heart, as soon as you get it in your mind. When you realize that you want to be better, you want to become better, better has already begun. You've already planted the seed to become better. And so once you plant the seed, just fertilize it, water it, and keep on going. Don't let anybody stop you. Build traction under your feet and keep right on going. I hope I'm encouraging somebody already, because this is what we come together for. For these 1,800 seconds, it's about encouraging each other to say, listen, you can do better. You can be better. You can be more. You can jump higher. You can last longer. You can do all of that. Just get it in your mind first. I promise you, just get it in your mind first. Get it in your hands and just keep on going, and don't let anybody steal it from you. That is why you see people like Annie Cutler who say, get aboard, let's ride, because we're riding together and we're on this journey together. What good would it do for us to get to the finish line and look around and see that we're the only ones there? I want you all there with me. All right. So then let's keep on going. Let me see who else jumped into that. I just get started. It doesn't take a lot for me these days to get motivated. It really, really doesn't. And so I thank you all. I thank you for giving me the energy just based on your chat alone. Give me the energy to say to myself, Cutler, you can be better than you are. There's always room for better, always room for improvement. And I thank you all for pushing me, for encouraging me, for motivating me, for inspiring me. Thank you. Thank you so very much. Let's see who else jumped into that chat room first. Yvonne Jones, I love you so much. She jumps into the chat room and she says hello to everybody else. Listen, hello to all of you. I hope you're having a great evening. Let's see who jumps in third. And then our third person come in and says, MV, our good friend MV says, good evening and happy Tuesday, everyone. I love how you all come in and just speak to everybody. I absolutely love that. Yeah, Kimberly, it is the power of positivity. I want to thank you for that. Even though you weren't one of the first ones in the chat, I want to put your comments up there. It is absolutely the power of positivity, the power of positive thinking, because you can call things into your life. You can call better into your life by what you think, by what you hope, by what you dream, by what you believe, and by what you know to be true about yourself, about your own aspirations, about your own goals, about your own objectives. It is the power of positive thinking. You call those things into your life. The power of life and death is in your tongue. Call them into your life. I believe that with my whole heart. With my whole heart, I believe it. So, Kimberly, thank you, my friend, for just mentioning that it is the power. It is the power of positivity. So that's why we come together. That's why we come together. There's enough negativity elsewhere in the world, enough negativity elsewhere in our lives, enough negativity elsewhere in our workplace, in our social circles, in our spaces. So we set this time aside. We set these 1,800 seconds aside to see what positive moments, what nuggets we can get to catapult us into a better head and heart space, a better life space. All right. So I want to share something with you all. I heard a quote Sunday. I was listening to one of my favorite speakers. I was listening to a message by Joel Osteen. And one of the things that struck me, and I said, I need to talk about that. One of the things that struck me, I heard Joel Osteen say, and I think he may have been quoting somebody else, but he said, it's not that life is so short. It's that we wait so long before we start living. And I thought about that, and I started asking myself, wow, I wonder how long have I been living? I know how long I've been alive. I'm going somewhere, you all. I know how long I've been alive, but how long have I been living? And am I just existing, or am I living? So I wanted to bring that as a conversation. And this may be a series, the same way How to Better Express Yourself was a series that we looked into for a few days. This may be a series as well, How to Stop Existing and Start Living. That quote was really, really powerful. It spoke to me. So I want to share that with you. Let me see if I can just put this quote up. I tried to key it in here before we got started. So let me see if I can do that. Let's see. All right. And you all are going to have to remind me, because I think from time to time we might have a few trolls that show up, and the good thing about when trolls show up, it just means that your channel is gaining a little more popularity. So don't you all worry about that. I'll try to catch them when I see them. But there's a quote that I want to put up. Let's see. Tilly, my friend, it's good to see you. McDina and Linda and Jed and all of you all. It's just so good to see all of you. But I want to put that quote up, the one that I just mentioned by Joel Osteen. Here we go. I think it's running across the like a ticker. I think that quote is running, but it says, "It's not that life is so short. It's that we wait so long before we start living." And Joel Osteen may have been quoting someone else, but I heard him say it. And so I wanted to share the source of that quote with you. Think about that and ask yourselves, am I living, or am I merely existing? And there is such a difference, you all. There's such a difference. And one is so freeing, and one is so liberating, and one is so powerful. So I wanted us to talk about that, because it just made me nervous. And I thought, wow, many of us are just existing. And for some people, the notion of living is just it's just growing up and getting a job and getting married and settling down and buying a house and doing all of those wonderful things. And this may be true for some individuals, and it may be a beautiful and very fulfilling life. So I want to be very clear about that we are not standing in the place of judgment. We're standing in the place of offering other alternatives, right? So for some people, that is a wonderful life. That is a fulfilling life. That is a beautiful life. Growing up, getting a job, getting married, settling down, buying a house, raising a family, doing all those things. That's a beautiful and fulfilling life for so many people. But it certainly does not represent what living looks like for everybody. It doesn't represent what living looks like for all people. Living is a very subjective concept. What looks like living for me may not necessarily be living for you. So I have to be very clear about that. Got to be very clear about that. So for one, living can just be sitting at home and hogging the food and living off your parents' money. That could be living for other people, for some people. But to others, it may be going out and exploring the world and experiencing new things on a daily basis. So again, living is very subjective. It does not look like for me what it looks like for you. It doesn't have to be a cookie cutter of what living is about. And you may wonder, Cutler, how do I help gauge whether or not I am living or whether I'm existing? I want to toss this question out to you, and then you all talk back to me. I want to hear from you. Think about this question. If there was no concept of money whatsoever, no concept of money in the world, ask yourself, would I still be doing the same thing with my time that I'm doing now? Consider that. If there is no concept of currency or money in the world, ask yourself, would you be doing the same thing with your time that you are doing now? Take some time to answer that question, because I dare say if the answer is yes, if you will be doing the same thing, then you're probably living. But if the answer is no, my friends, you might just be existing. Only you can answer that question. No concept of money. If there were no concept of money, would I be doing the same thing with my time that I'm doing now? And if your answer is yes, I would be doing the same thing, you're probably living, fulfilling, and enjoying your life. But if the answer is no, I would be doing something different, then you might just be existing. And again, because it is so subjective, I cannot put you in a cubby hole or in a box. Oh, please don't forget to give this conversation a thumbs up. And may I ask you to invite some people to come and join this conversation, because maybe you've had a conversation with people who are trying to find their way, trying to find their purpose, trying to figure out, why am I here on this place, this thing that is called Earth? What am I here for? And am I living to my greatest potential? Got to ask yourself. I love McDinah's response. One time I was having champagne and someone asked, what was the occasion? I said, none. I just wanted the champagne. I absolutely love that response. I was growing up, I grew up in the South, and in the South, if you all know about Southern families, or even Southern families who have moved to the West or moved to the North or to the Midwest, there was something about Southern families who would sometimes, they would have the family room where the family would hang out, but they would also have the living room, the former living room, and they would put the plastic over the seats, the plastic over the chairs, and they would cover the things, and they would say, you can't go in there, you can't sit in there, that's only on special occasions. Well, as I was growing up, I realized, wow, there were families who never spent time in those rooms. They didn't use what they had, or I get it. They may have held it sacred for some reason because it was a special occasion, but there were some who never used those rooms. And I said, wow, when I buy my house, I'm not going to have a room that I don't live in, a bedroom that I don't sleep in, a bathroom that I don't use, a living room where I don't sit. I just decided I would not do that. I've slept in every bedroom in my house. I have, just because. But ask yourself about living. Oscar Wilde was a 19th century poet and playwright, and I read some of his things. One of the things that I read about Oscar, one of the things that I read that he wrote was The Picture of Dorian Gray, and then I read The Importance of Being Earnest, an excellent and amazing 19th century writer. But here's a quote. Here's one of my favorite quotes by Oscar Wilde. To live is the rarest thing in the world. Most people exist. That is all. That was one of my favorite quotes by him. And what did he mean when he said that? He meant that most people, they don't have an enjoyable or very high quality of life, and they don't fully live their lives. They merely exist. what kind of life do we live when we just realize that we are merely existing? And that is one of the things that I like to do with these 1800 seconds. I want to push us into a place where we're doing more than just existing, but we are living, and we are living enjoyable lives. We're living fulfilling lives. We're living high quality lives, and we are enjoying the journey that we are taking. And what do I mean by that? We are going outside of the box. There are some people who merely exist. They go about their daily drudgery and they don't go outside of the box. They don't think outside of the box. They don't live outside of the box. They never cross the lines. They only do what is asked of them and what is expected of them. But we have got to learn how to do more than just exist. Got to learn how to do more than just exist. Linda, you're absolutely right. Many of us buy new clothes and save them for a special occasion that may never come. Buying this for occasions that may never come. I wonder how many of us, I wonder how many of us, Linda, thank you so much for that comment, because it makes me wonder how many of us during the pandemic, or as the pandemic was coming our way, we had purchased things, perhaps clothing and ensembles and shoes and what have you. We bought things because we had planned for these occasions to come along. And then all of a sudden the pandemic canceled it. And now we have some of these things that we were going to use for these special occasions, and the special occasions never manifested. Never showed up, never manifested. Kimberly says, I existed in someone else's life for too many years. Yes, I am now finding what fulfills my heart, looking for my footing now. My friend, absolutely. You are not alone. So many of us have done that. We've existed in other people's lives. Existed in their lives, and we failed. We didn't manage to live our own life. I can tell you all, I was looking forward to so many things when 2020 and the pandemic hit, and now I've ended up with some things that I never used. I bought some things before I broke my foot. I love shoes. I bought these shoes before I broke my foot, and then I could not go to some of those events, and I thought, wow, so what am I going to do now? But you all know what? I put those shoes on just because I want to wear them. When my foot healed, that's what I did. So do I come tonight with any offerings or things that Tilly, Linda, I see that you said you're guilty. Tilly said you're not the only one. She says she's guilty as well. So am I, Linda. But we're probably all guilty to some degree of getting ready for something, buying things for special events. Those events never came about, or we only wore them. How many of you have bought things for special events? You wore them once, you put them in the closet, and that's it. I need to put both my hands and feet up. But tonight I want to offer us a more excellent way, you all. I want to offer us a way of how do we stop existing and start living. There's some of the little things that we can do. How do I stop just merely existing and start living? That's what our conversation is going to be about tonight, probably for the next couple of nights. Because one of the things that I want us to learn how to do, and as a tip, I want to offer just right out of the gate, live beyond where you live. You really want to start living and stop existing, live beyond where you live. What do I mean by that? Learn to travel to another state. Paula D says she's guilty of it as well. Many of us are, you all. We get stuff that we never used, that we only wore one time, that we used one time. We buy dishes that we're going to use for just a special event, china and silverware, crystal, that we say this is just for special events. Annie Cutler says guilty of all of the above. I know many of my family members who they have china for this event, they have crystal for this event, they have silverware for this event, they have tablecloths for this event, they have cloth napkins for this event, and those events may take place only one time, once a year, once every 5 years. But learn how to live a high quality, fulfilling, and enjoyable life every single day. One of the ways you can start doing that is by living beyond where do you live. And I mean, travel to another state. Don't let distance stop you from what you want to do. Don't write off interacting with family members and friends and colleagues just because of distance. Go to another state, another city, another town, another country. The world is bigger than where we live. Make it a point to go beyond the geographic perimeter of where you are. That's what I mean when I say live beyond where you live. The world is larger than just where you are. Live beyond where you live. And I mean that geographically. I mean that geographically. I mean that emotionally. I mean that spiritually. I mean that in so many contexts. Live beyond where you live. Don't just isolate yourself physically, emotionally, and mentally. Don't isolate yourself, but live beyond where you live. I wish I could come into your houses. That is what I mean tonight. Live beyond where you live. So many of us are saying, I'll do this. Linda, you're inside my head. You're reading my mind. Many of us will say, when I retire, I'm going to do this. Or when I retire, I'll do that. But take some time while you're living and while you're enjoying life and while you have your good health and while you have all of that. Do things then. You owe it to yourself to make time for yourself. I don't know how plain I can put that. You owe it to yourself to make time for yourself. Live beyond where you live. Go beyond where you are. I'm going to need to get beyond this tip, y'all, but it is so true. It speaks to me. Yvonne, this one speaks to me. Live beyond where you live. Because the world is bigger than where I am. It is beyond where I am. Jay Song for you, you're absolutely right. So when I talk within the context of not waiting until retirement, but learn to live while you're living. Because may I tell you, the opposite of living is dying. I don't want to walk around and people look at me and say, you look like you're dying. And there is no harm and no shame. I'm not embarrassed for people when people see me and they say, you look like you're doing fine. You look like you're living. I want them to say I look like I'm living, and not that I look like I'm dying. I'm telling you all, from time to time, I just got to put this out there. I'm just trying to help save your life. Live while you're living. And then may I tell you all this, you all, how to stop existing and start living. Remember this, ignorance is not bliss. A lot of people say, it's okay what I don't know. I'm good with what I don't know, because ignorance is bliss. Ignorance is not bliss. Bliss means you're happy and wonderful. That's what bliss means. What a wonderful life it is. And a lot of people say, well, what I don't know won't hurt me, and ignorance is bliss. May I tell you, ignorance is not bliss. Don't be okay with not knowing. Don't be okay with not having an answer. You may not understand it, but don't be okay with not having an answer. Why do I say that? Because knowledge is power. Look for what you're finding. Look for or seek what you're looking for. If you want to find it, seek it. Keep asking, keep questioning until you understand it. Keep digging until you find purpose. Don't be okay with not having an answer. Ignorance is not bliss. Don't be okay with not having an answer. Keep trying and trying. Keep experimenting until you find your passion. I wrote a book that says we don't always get it right the first time. Keep experimenting until you find your passion. Keep digging until you find your purpose. Keep questioning until you find an understanding. There's nothing that you can't have an answer to. You may not understand it immediately, but keep seeking and searching and experimenting until you find an answer. Ignorance is not bliss, but knowledge is power. I want to help somebody. I want to help somebody tonight, you all, because this thing resonated with me. And I heard that quote by Joel Osteen. It shook me. It's not that life is so short. It's that we wait so long before we start living. Who told us we couldn't start living, and why did we believe them? Who said it's not okay for you to start living now? And so we cower in fear. We cower in the intimidation of others. We cower in the manipulation of others because they said we couldn't start living, and somehow we believed them. My offering for us tonight is the realization that it is okay to start living. It's okay to start living. I love what you all are saying. Kimberly says, yes, most of us say, oh, someday, tomorrow, and tomorrow could never come. You're absolutely right. Yvonne Jones, I'm trying to make it as plain as I can. Tilly, yes. Yes, Tilly says, yes, Mr. Cutler, we have to live outside of our zip code. Absolutely, we got to live outside of our zip code because the world is so bigger than where we are. McDonough, you're right. It might be old fashioned, but go to the library. Going to the library is always a good experience because that helps you see the world. Just go there. I have a friend now. Couldn't believe it. I was talking to him one day. He said, yes, I still have a library card. Almost knocked me off my feet. But guess what? Just go. He goes to the library. He reads. He checks out books. And I thought, wow, I go online looking for them. But at least he gets out of his house. He goes to the library and he starts seeing the world through reading. So let's do that, you all. Ignorance, remember, ignorance is not bliss. And can I suggest something else to you in terms of how to stop existing and start living? Remember this, you all. I don't want to lose anybody when I say this. And I don't want you all to offend anybody by saying what I'm about to ask you to do. But learn how to say yes to what you want and no to what you don't want. I mean that in the most sincere way. Learn how to say yes to what you want and no to what you don't want, because there's power. We talked once before about the power of no. There is something liberating in the simple act of stepping off the conveyor belt and saying, I'm not going for this ride anymore. I'm not going around again. I'm not going to this merry-go-round again. I'm getting off the ride. I'm getting off. The answer is no. You don't have to be rude, but you do need to be honest with yourself. Why would I say that? Because either you are going to spend every hour at the whim of another person's expectations, or you're going to start living and doing what you really want to do. I hope this is helping somebody, you all. So you've got to learn how to say yes to what you want and no to what you don't want. Get off of somebody else's merry-go-round. Kimberly, I heard you living and existing in other people's lives. But guess what? You got to learn how to get off the conveyor belt of everybody else. Get off the merry-go-round of everybody else. Get off the Ferris wheel of everybody else. Get off, say no to them, and be honest enough to say yes to you. Again, it's not being rude, but it is the power of no to them and yes to me. Yes, it is. When you say yes to others, you are saying no to yourself sometimes. Absolutely. Absolutely, you all. Let's do this. Tonight, this is about the power. This is about the power of not just existing, but living. It really is, because so many times, McDonough, you're right. You can say yes to other people and realize you're saying yes to them so much until you're really implicitly saying no to yourself. Got to be careful about that. And I might leave us with this one tonight, you all. I might leave us with this one. Another tip for how to stop existing and just start living. Stop worrying so much about being misunderstood. Listen, and you all know I am a stickler like anybody else. I want to be understood, but what I'm not going to do is to get caught in a state of paralysis, wondering what somebody else is going to think of my goals, my plans, and my ideas. I'm not doing that. Yes, like anybody, you all know me. Those of you who have been with me for a while, you all know how I operate. Yes, I want to be understood, but may I suggest very clearly to us tonight that what I'm not going to do again is to be caught in a state of paralysis, mesmerized and just cannot move because I'm wondering what other people are going to think of my goals and my plans and my hopes and my ambitions and my dreams. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to be manipulated by people simply because they may be intimidated by me. Y'all hold on to both seats, because I want you to take that one and run with it. I want you to take that one and fly with it. I want you to take that one and move with it. I want you to take that one and crawl with it. I want you to take that one and go with it. Do not be manipulated by people simply because they are intimidated by you. They're intimidated by your greatness. They're intimidated by your strength. They're intimidated by your gifts. They're intimidated by your persona. They are intimidated by your purpose. They're intimidated by your destiny. They're intimidated by what you bring to the table. They're intimidated by what you do, and by how you show up, by how you be, and by what you do so well. They may never tell you that they are intimidated. Instead, they'll try to manipulate you. So how do we start living and stop existing? Stop worrying so much about being misunderstood. Stop depreciating your intelligence and toning down what you have because you're afraid that other people are going to scoff and judge you out of their own insecurities and their closed-mindedness. Stop it. Stop that. I'm telling you all. I was moved. I was so moved by that quote from Joel Osteen. And then as I recalled a quote by one of my favorite authors, Oscar Wilde, the quote that says, "To live is the rarest thing in the world. Most people exist. That's all." You all, please tell people. Please tell, if you haven't done so, please do a thumbs up on the conversation. I've got to get out of here, but we're going to continue this conversation for a while. We'll probably do this series for 2 or 3 more times. I'll pick up with with more helpful hints and more tips about how do we stop existing and start living. Until then, you all do me a favor. Invite other people to come on and let's talk to Cutler. If you haven't done so, please do a thumbs up on the conversation. And do me a favor, y'all. Let's keep building community. Let's keep maintaining connectivity. Keep your heads up. Keep your hopes up. Keep living and not just existing. And know this, from my heart to yours, there is and always will be so much love. I appreciate you all beyond words. Good night. I'll see you next time.